What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and today is game week 15 captaincy time. 1 week where it kind of looks a little bit obvious who the captaincy should probably go towards, but there's plenty of teams and players that we should talk about as well as some outside the box thinking, which we'll do at the end. As always, this is being recorded slightly in advance because it is Christmas. I'm recording this on the 23rd. It's going to go out on the 24th. Potentially there could be injuries and stuff reported outside of that, but obviously if a player gets injured, you probably shouldn't captain them. So yeah, let's start getting into it, I think. Give it a like if you enjoy it. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. And let's talk about some captain options. We'll start with the obvious one, Liverpool versus West Brom. I mean, Mo Salah is playing West Brom. Do we need to talk about anything else in this video? Possibly not, but we should keep things fair and discuss the whole lot of games, this one and others as well. So essentially, this boils down to the team that has been the best attack so far in terms of expected goals and stuff like that versus the worst defence. It doesn't get much better matchup than that, especially when you've got players like Mo Salah and Sadio Mane that you can pick from to captain. Now, one of the things I've seen, and we always see this, right, whenever there's something obvious, and it is good to play devil's advocate, right? We shouldn't just think that everything's super simple most of the time. But you'll always see things like, well, West Brom have done okay against some bigger teams. What if West Brom do well here? What if Big Sam is this genius that stops Liverpool scoring, etc.? But for me, that is just massive overthinking, right? And when you look at some of the big games the West Brom have played, so they held Man United to just, I think Man United won 1-0. Man City obviously recently was 1-1, and Spurs only beat them 1-0. So you could look to say West Brom, they turn up for the big games, they're decent defensively. But when you look at the expected goals from those games, Man United 2.39, West Brom 0.64, Man City 2.22, West Brom 0.47, West Brom against Spurs, they were at home, 0.81 for West Brom, 1.9 for Spurs. So in each of those three games where West Brom have kept the score down, you could probably consider themselves a little bit fortunate. I mean, looking at the numbers, they probably should have conceded at least 6 in those games. They've only conceded 3. Right, so I think they've been a bit fortunate rather than suddenly a good defensive team against the big teams. They are a team, unlike Leeds, that do change their tactics and they do try and sit deep, right? So they can frustrate teams. And if they do that for a while against Liverpool, a bit like Fulham did, for example, maybe they will win out and keep the score level down. But I just don't see it. If Liverpool get that early goal or even a goal at any point, the floodgates could open. Sam Allardyce effect, look, I'm sure he will improve West Brom slightly, but you look at the numbers on screen, they've been bad all season. 1.97 expected goals. Basically, I've changed up the numbers for this one. The shots in the box and the expected goals conceded are both per 90 minutes, basically. So over the season, it's 1.97 per match. Last 6 is 2.1 per match, etc. So they haven't really gotten any better over the course of the season. Like, even if you look at last 4, where the numbers are the best, 1.77 expected goals conceded. That's still really bad. And yeah, Sam Allardyce might come in and work his magic, but this is Liverpool, right? They are the best attack in the league right now. They've just smashed Palace 7-0. There's not much to dislike. In terms of who to pick, most people, it's the same as every week, right? Most people are going to pick Mo Salah because that's the one they own. Sadio Mane, I do think, has something to say. I think we always say this. His underlying numbers for the season are really good. For the whole season, they're probably actually slightly better than Salah when you take out penalties. And we saw that against Palace, right? Mane is able to score plenty from open play. He's had more shots in the box than Salah over the last 4, and they've played a similar amount of minutes. He's also created one more chance. Although expected goal involvement, I've even removed penalties from that, and Salah still comes out slightly ahead. So for me, whichever of these two you own, if you only own one, should be your captain this week. There is an argument to be made for the defenders as well. Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Defence looks really strong still. Been saying that for a while. And obviously they have got Trent and Robbo back. And they should have Matip and Fabinho in there as well. And with Alisson behind, it's a strong defence. So you can see a clean sheet here. Obviously, in any game, the other team can score. But this looks nailed on for a Liverpool clean sheet. And we know what those two are like for attack and return. So you could arguably captain and defender in this one, but for me it would all be about those attackers, Mane or Salah. This could be a huge score, 2 or 3 goals for either of them, and because of the rest period from game week 14 to 15, I'm not even that concerned about the Christmas break. We could see them getting a rest, but the fact that Salah's had his, Mane came off early against Palace, I think we'll be looking okay. And I guess, yeah, I mean, it's just a great fixture and one we should be going for. I don't really see any downside to picking your captain from this game if you own a Liverpool player. So if you've not got a Liverpool player, but you have Kevin De Bruyne or Raheem Sterling, it might not be time to panic. I know a lot of people are probably weighing up how to get Salah in if they don't own him. And if you've got Kevin De Bruyne or Raheem Sterling, it's probably the easiest way to do it. Would I go for it? I still think Liverpool, yes, over the next 3 will perform better than the Man City players, because Kevin De Bruyne and Sterling have got Newcastle at home, which is good, but then it's Everton away and Chelsea away, which isn't as easy. Obviously, Chelsea might be missing James and Chilwell, but we'll worry about that when we get there. So over the next 3, I think Mane and Salah look better, and they've got the better fixture this week as well. So if you are going to make that switch, I don't think it's the end of the world. But if you can get Salah and Mane and keep De Bruyne or Sterling, I think that's a really good move as well, because Newcastle are another poor defence. Now, to be fair, expected goals conceded, they've actually been doing okay this season so far, a bit better than West Brom. My worry, if I was a Newcastle fan, right, which I'm not, but if I was, is Steve Bruce just doesn't seem to have a game plan at all. Now, as a Man United fan, sometimes you could say that about Solskjaer, but Steve Bruce just seems to throw the players out and then let's just see if Callum Wilson can do something for us. They just lost to Brentford last night in the EFL Cup, didn't play well at all. Now, to be fair, Brentford are a very, very, very good Championship side, and if they came up to the Premier League, they'd probably do all right, but still not good for Newcastle. And if you can't beat Brentford, and bearing in mind, I think Brentford rested 6 or 7 of their first 11, and for Newcastle it was a pretty strong squad. Man City are a bit of a different cup of tea altogether, right? They're even better again. So I do think this is a mismatch here. Newcastle are going to try and defend, right? They're going to try and sit in, and it can work, right? Games like this can be frustrating to captain players against, right? Similar to Liverpool versus West Brom, they're going to sit deep as well. And Man City are going to be camped outside the box, a bit like the Burnley game, I would say. Just chance after chance, trying to create it. I think we'll see the likes of, if Cancelo and Walker play, we're going to see them getting quite far forward. That's going to let players like Sterling hopefully come inside a little bit more. So if you've got Sterling, I appreciate it's quite a brave call to captain him this week ahead of, De Bruyne, Salah, and Mane. But I do think it'll be a good game for him, where he's in the box plenty as he always is, and the width is basically going to be provided from the fullbacks, unless Newcastle try something crazy and just attack Man City and get away with it. But I just don't see it, right? You can see the shots inside the box conceded and the expected goals conceded for Newcastle have been pretty similar all season, and they've been rubbish for most of the season as well. And when you look at the numbers, it's interesting, because again, I think Sterling and De Bruyne over the last 4 matches, right? So not necessarily the last 4 game weeks, but the last 4 matches have all played pretty much identical minutes. And De Bruyne has actually had more shots in the box, which is surprising. Not surprising that he's created more chances, and probably not surprising that his expected goal involvement is higher. But the shots in the box is interesting. We know he's playing that more advanced number 10 position. He's got usually Rodri and Gundogan behind him, so he can get further forward, which is where those shots are coming from. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite happened in the last couple of games. There was a really good chance against Southampton. I don't know what went through his head, but it was not a good shot at all. That goes in, and I think we're thinking differently about Kevin De Bruyne for this week. So I think these two are probably the next best captains this week after Salah and Mane. Whether or not you make the switch is going to depend on all your chip strategy and the remaining transfers you want to use and stuff like that. And obviously, if you're not free hitting an 18, then Kevin De Bruyne and Sterling both play in that game week, so it might be worth holding on to them rather than switch to Salah. But yeah, if you're going to end up with no Liverpool, I don't see any issue with captain either of these. I've got Kevin De Bruyne, and I am hopeful of another big score, a la Fulham or Burnley, whether it was 5-0, 2-0, and De Bruyne got 2 double-digit hauls. So I definitely think it gets a little bit tougher from here on out to pick a captain, right? If you're not going Man City, you're not going Liverpool. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes has done extremely well this season. Really good game against Leeds, but it's not going to be as easy against Leicester. And if you look at the underlying numbers in terms of defensive performances, Man United actually got slightly worse over the last 4 weeks compared to the previous kind of season and last 6 numbers, where expected goals conceded were quite similar, 1.38, 1.29. Not brilliant, not quite as good as last year yet. Hopefully, as the season goes, they can improve. But the last 4, not great at all. They played Leeds, Sheffield United, Man City and West Ham. Now, against Sheffield United, there was a couple of big mistakes in that game, which kind of led to the goals, especially that first one. And obviously against Leeds, they are, again, what they have been so far, one of the best attacks. They're always going to take lots of shots against you. So arguably, you could say that is why it's been tough for Man United over the last 4, and they've played Man City as well. But Leicester are not going to let up and give them an easy game, right? And Jamie Vardy's been doing really well. 14 shots in the box the last 4. Expected goal involvement's really high at 2.43. He's looking good, right? And I do think the problem with Man United is defence is good when they got the ball, right? When we can hold on to it, maybe we play Fred, McTominay, whoever it might be, we can try and control the game. But McTominay went off injured in the last game, and I don't think him and Fred would have both played anyway. I think we'll probably put Van der Beek or Pogba back in. and that's going to give Jamie Vardy a chance to run at Maguire, to run at Lindelof, and he will cause them problems. So I don't think Jamie Vardy is a bad shout this week if you've got him. Again, whether or not you captain someone in a game like this, it always puts me off when it's two good teams playing against each other. But I wouldn't write off Jamie Vardy just yet. In terms of Leicester defence, it's pretty much been better than Man United all season. Last four, it's extremely good. Their numbers have been brilliant, to be honest. Like 0.82 per game over the last four is great. They've played Spurs, Everton, Brighton, Sheffield United. So Sheffield United and Brighton, not too difficult. Spurs, they did really well against. They controlled that game really well. Surprised, not necessarily surprised how much of the ball they had, because Spurs do like to sit deep. But Spurs didn't cause them too many problems. I didn't catch most of the first half. I saw a lot of the second. And Spurs were resorting to kind of pumping the ball up the pitch quite a bit, like long. I wouldn't say they were a long ball team, but a lot of the times they were trying to cross the ball in, and the likes of Evans and co can just deal with that quite easily. So I think Leicester have done well, and I think it will be difficult for Man United. In terms of who you could look at a captaincy, as you think would happen most of the season, it's just happening more recently. The likes of Rashford and Martial are having more shots in the box than Fernandes. His goal threat has kind of dropped quite a bit. It's never really been that high from open play, but we know he's obviously on penalties and creating the most chances. But when it comes to goal threat, Rashford and Martial are key. And Martial has stepped it up in the last few games. He should have had more points in the last game against Leeds. He just didn't really have his shooting boots on. I do think there'll be chances against Leicester, but I think this will be quite a tight game. I think I could see either side winning maybe 2-1 or something like that. And so it would really put me off captaincy. But if you had Vardy or Fernandes or someone like that, they are outside shots. Rashford and Martial may be as good, given the amount of goal threat they have and shots in the box they will get. But I just think they're probably lower owned for most of you. So it's not a bad match to hold these players. I'm just not sure they'd be my priority for captain. So we've got to talk about Spurs, right? Still so highly owned, Kane and Son. People looking to get them in for Fulham, Leeds, and probably already either getting them in for Wolves as well, or if not, already owning. Now, Wolves' defence so far this season is, I don't know, a little bit all over the place, right? I don't mean all over the place in the amount of goals they're conceding. I mean, they have made some changes, right? Last year, we knew it was going to be 5 at the back every single week. We knew who was going to play. Sice, Bolly, Cody, etc. Then we had the 2 wing-backs as well. Johnny until obviously got injured, Doherty as well. This season, there's been quite a few changes, not just to that kind of solid 11, we know the formation, but also they've changed to a back 4. Then the last game, Bolly hasn't played. They've gone back to a back 5. So there's quite a few changes, but when you look at the numbers, they've barely changed all season, right? Shots in the box conceded quite low. Expected goals conceded not bad. Not as good as last year. It's worth pointing out. They were one of the best defences last year. Not quite the case so far this year. But they're still not awful, you know. They're not like West Brom levels or Sheffield United levels or anything like that. So this will be difficult for Spurs. Obviously, Jimenez missing out is not good for any team. Obviously, it's kind of hurting Wolves a bit. He's good at holding up play and gives them a lot more in attack. Fabio Silva's done okay, I think, in the minutes he's had. And Podence and Neto are quite dangerous. But overall, as a team, there's something about Wolves I'm not quite sure what to make of them at the moment. Whether or not Spurs will be able to take advantage of that, though, I really don't know. Because it feels like we talked a lot, or people have talked a lot about when will Spurs become a Mourinho team, and they're kind of like that now, and it feels like at times they're too scared to attack. When they went behind against Leicester, okay, then they started to try and go forward, but I feel like they're more likely to not want to lose the game at the moment than to win it, if that makes sense. So if Wolves are going to attack them, they're going to sit in, and they're going to wait for those opportunities to counter. Don't get me wrong, Kane and Son on the counter are brilliant. And I do expect them to get some points in this, but I don't think it's going to be high enough to worry about. I'm not even too worried about bringing them in this week. I'm happy to have them for Fulham and Leeds, but I don't think I'm too concerned about not owning them this week. So therefore, I'm not too worried about captaincy. A bit like last week, right? Leicester did really well against them. I don't see why Wolves can't too. I think Jimenez is such a big miss. I'd always worry about Wolves at the moment, and Spurs will probably have a good bit of the ball. And then interestingly, looking at the last 4 matches, because all this season, right, Kane has been having more shots in the box than Son, which has still happened, but he's also been creating lots of chances. That hasn't really happened over the last 4, and actually it's Son that's been creating chances, and we could see that similarly in this one. So if you were going to captain someone, I still go for Kane. All season he's been getting more shots in the box than Son has. I think the 2 that Son had against Leicester matched his previous 5 game weeks where he only got 2 over 5. So he's just not the one for me. The thing I like about Son, if he does get a goal on the counter, he's not taking any shots. So the amount of shots off target are really low, and therefore he gets really good bonus. But I feel like you're constantly relying on that 1 or 2 chances, whereas other teams are getting more shots in the box. Like Rashford and Martial have had 9 over the same amount of time. So I definitely wouldn't captain Son, I don't think, this week. I'd maybe go Kane, but again, I'd really be looking at how I can get De Bruyne, Salah, Mane in my team, I think, rather than going for Spurs, who I do feel at times Mourinho's kind of more worried about losing the game than he is necessarily about winning it. Obviously, he wants to win. That makes sense, right? You want to win games, and I'm sure he's happy with the way they're playing on the counter. But if Wolves don't score early, I can see this being a tight game for too much time, with neither side really looking to try and take advantage, and that's probably what would put me off captaincy. Okay, let's take a quick look at some of the other games just to see if there's any other potential captaincies or punts you could go for. I think Villa versus Crystal Palace is an interesting one because Palace just lost quite heavily. Villa have been looking good for most of the season. Well, hopefully Ross Barkley will back. That should be back. That should improve them even more. And obviously Crystal Palace just got battered by Liverpool. But the thing is, Roy Hodgson is going to have gone absolutely mad at them. And I can't, I'm not expecting Villa to beat them 7-0 or anything like that. But I also can't imagine that Crystal Palace will defend as badly as they did against Liverpool for the rest of the season. So, not necessarily the worst match for Grealish, again, if you want to go outside the box, but Crystal Palace can keep it tight when they want to. The saving grace is, of course, I think they've only got 1 clean sheet so far this season. So the way Aston Villa have been playing, they should be able to create chances. So it could be a good game for Grealish. So if you want to go for someone different, there's him. I don't think I would touch Adams in the Fulham game. Arsenal versus Chelsea, I mean, Arsenal are just bad, right? They've just lost again, a 4-1 to Man City. There's nothing good about Arsenal right now. So there could be good points in this for Chelsea, maybe Werner can finally get off the mark, but again, it's all ifs and buts and maybes with Chelsea. I think not too many people own Pulisic. People went for Giroud, and now Tammy Abraham started, so there's a little bit of a worry there for me. Look, at some point Werner's going to explode, but I wouldn't want to be brave enough to make that call. And against Arsenal, not keeping many clean sheets, but they have at times this season kept things tight in certain games, and this one's going to be one they're right up for, so I'd probably avoid Chelsea. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin against Sheffield United. Sheffield United have been really bad. If you want, he's probably actually the best one out of the teams that I've not mentioned. You could look at Leeds as well. I think they're going to try and overwhelm Burnley as they do against all teams, and they're probably going to have less to worry about defensively because I can't imagine Burnley trying to hurt Leeds on the counter-attack. So Rodrigo, Rafinha, Bamford could be outside shots. And then West Brom versus Brighton, I don't think I'd be going Haller or Bowen or anyone like that. And I certainly wouldn't be captaining anyone from Brighton. And I guess you could make a case for Wolves players against Spurs if they can really get out that defence, Podence, Neto or someone like that. But there's not too many captains in other matches that I'd probably look at outside of Calvert-Lewin against Sheffield United. I think he would be the standout, maybe Grealish against Palace. So that's it for this one. Hopefully it was useful. It is Christmas. It's the time of giving. So give me a like and also give yourself an early present. Hit that subscribe button so you get plenty more of my videos in your YouTube feed as we go on for the rest of this year and obviously into next year as well. Leave me a comment below. Let me know who you're captaining this week, who you think the best captain is, who you're going for instead. Is there anyone outside of Salah that people are considering? I'm sure those without Salah are panicking a little bit this week. It doesn't always work out as we expect, but it is a really, really good matchup. In terms of content, right, so this is we're recording on the 23rd. It's going out on Christmas Eve. This will be the last video I do now, FPL-wise, before Boxing Day on the 26th when I'll do a deadline stream. There's a chance that I'll stream on the 24th on Christmas Eve, but I don't know if it will be before or after this video. More likely, if I'm going to do it, it'll be before. So obviously there'll be no other streams apart from the deadline stream on the 26th. I'm going to put out a Christmas podcast as well on Christmas Day at 3 o'clock in my usual time slot. If you want to check that out, it'll be non-FPL, something a little bit different, right? I just want to do something a bit different before we crack on with all the FPL stuff after Christmas as well. And lastly, if you do want to sign up to Patreon, check out that in the link in the description below. There's Slack access, WhatsApp access, early team reveals, all the videos turn into podcasts. If you just generally want to support me and the channel a little bit further. So everyone that signs up goes up on the Legends wall. So there we have everyone that's already signed up. And if you want to get yourself up there, make sure you click that link in the description below and I'll get you added for the next video or stream. So there we go. I'm going to leave it there. Merry Christmas. I really hope you have a good one this year. If you're celebrating, obviously I will be back. Well, I mean, I'm going to be back tomorrow with a video, but in terms of FPL content, I'll be back on the 26th, and then we'll be running out for the rest of this season. So thank you very much for all your support this year. I'll probably do something else around New Year as well, but really do appreciate the support. Anyone that's liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing the videos, it really, really does help me out. This channel has got much bigger than I expected this year, and it's doing extremely well, and that is all thanks to you that are watching. So Merry Christmas, have a Happy New Year, although I'll definitely see you before then, and I'll catch you soon.